Now, Lauren Graham is mixing sage advice with her trademark fast and furious humor for her fourth book, Have I Told You This Already? Lauren, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm
Hello.
doing well.
Good.
It's so nice to see you.
It's great to see you. It's great to have you on the show. And now we're going to get to Gilmore Girls in just a second. You have just released your fourth book, Have I Told You This Already? And, you know, we were looking, it's a very rich book. It's filled with advice and suggestions and observations and anecdotes. What was it that came about to have the decision to put so much into this book?
I guess it started with Have I Told You This Already is a joke amongst my oldest and dearest friends because there's no story of ours that we don't know. And in some cases, my friend or family member was there when these sort of big stories in my life happened. But the book really came about when I realized that my father had been telling me the story of the day I was born, obviously my whole life, and he was wrong. He was wrong about some key elements. And it just made me think it's so funny how sometimes it's different how we remember something compared to what really happened. And so it was just thinking about memory and kind of how I got here.
Yeah, well, you have a fantastic memory because the Gilmore Girls fans are going to inhale this book, particularly the behind-the-scenes content, because like I said, you have an incredible memory because what was so unique about the Gilmore Girls was the dialogue, the scripts that you would have had to have learned. I mean, you could have 11 pages for one continuous take. So what was the prep like for that, to be able to be ready and block out your scenes and be able to deliver this fast dialogue?
It was part of the joy of the show, frankly. It felt like doing a play sometimes. And I was one of those weird kids who memorized poetry and sadly for our dinner guests performed long poems. So it was a little bit in my nature to have to be able to memorize fairly quickly, but it still took a lot of work.
Wow, incredible. Even for readers who aren't diehard Gilmore Girls fans, there is so much in this book. It is hilarious. Like I was telling you before we came on air, when you're talking about, you know, being a star, but like still not quite getting the Louis Vuitton discount and then realizing there must be discounts for other major fashion houses, to, you know, not being able to get an appointment in the right eyebrow place, to arriving at a Vanity Fair party at a certain time and there are bad times to arrive and good times. Like, even now at your level, do you get used to the workings of Hollywood and all the stuff that goes on that's not just making the fantastic TV shows or the movies?
No, I think that's what's so confusing and so, to me, really interesting is there's always some unspoken rule that you discover you didn't know. There's always some hierarchy or, you know, like you said, some discount someone's getting that you're not getting. Not that any of us need to discount, but so I just tried to uncover some of those things that have been both fascinating and confusing to me over the years.
What was the most surprising part to you as a young actor starting off? Well, I love how you talk about, you know, padding out your resume and then padding out your bra. Like the two kind of go hand in hand when you're starting out as an actor.
I guess it was a discovery to me when I started doing talk shows that sometimes they're not the real story as it happened, that sometimes you're encouraged to sort of tweak the story to make it funnier. I mean, of course, that makes sense, but I had just taken that kind of thing at face value, that people were telling the truth. But I was asked once to change the punchline to make it funnier. So that was a discovery.
Wow, it's like scripted. That's crazy to think. We just think you have these hilarious anecdotes in your back pocket, but actually they are getting tweaked for entertainment. It's not just go see this movie, it's really funny. You have to really sell it.
I mean, sometimes it makes sense, you know, you guys know you have to go to a commercial break or but it was just more learning the difference between public and private and learning that even when you're playing yourself, it can sometimes still be a character.
Okay. Well, Lauren, Gilmore Girls is still one of the most iconic shows on television. It did start back in 2000, and as you said, it was competing, well, it was on at the same time as Friends, which couldn't have been easy considering, you know, the established audience with Friends that Friends had. What was it like? What impact did that have on the show?
I actually think it was the biggest gift of all because we kind of were able to stay a little bit under the radar and yet start to gather our fans, and no one expected us to compete with that huge a show, and then there we were 7 years later, we'd somehow made it through. So everything about the way the show happened, I think just ended up being a gift.
Okay. And you've actually often said that it was difficult for you to kind of even remember your time on the show because there's so much happening. I mean, even just the pace of the show is one thing, but there's so much going on. Would you ever have kind of, well, I'm sure you have, but looking back at the show and re-watching the adventures that you guys went on, is that something you'd have done quite often, just to remember what you guys were doing?
As an actor, I don't find it helpful for me to watch myself, but when we did the revival and I was writing about it, I did go back and at least sort of scroll through. And, occasionally if I'm staying at a hotel or something and the show comes on, I can instantly be transported back in time. It's just a strange kind of way to see yourself and to remember what went on. I can remember more about little things like, I don't know, who I was dating or why I wore my hair that way. It's really a strange time capsule.
Yeah. Melissa McCarthy recently posted to mark the 22nd anniversary of Gilmore Girls. Of course, she played your co-star Suki. When you're looking back, and as a jobbing actor, when you're booking jobs, did you think upon reading the Gilmore Girls script, this is going to be the one, this will make me a star?
I didn't think that, but I did have an experience reading that script that I don't know that I've ever had before. I hadn't had it before and perhaps haven't had it since, that I liken to kind of seeing someone across a crowded room and falling in love. I mean, I just felt like it was a piece of music that I understood, that was almost written for me. That's how impactful it was, and my feeling was sort of like, this is mine, I must do this, but you never know how a show is going to go. But as a part and as a piece of writing, I really connected to it.
I love that analogy. That's great.
Now, you did return to play Lorelai in the 2016 in the Netflix special, A Year in the Life. It's a long time, I'm sure, as an actress to be away from the role, but was there a right time for you to come back to play that role?
I think the stars aligned in a way. I mean, it was a really amazing and very unusual feeling to walk back into that character, into those sets, to see those friends again. It was just an incredible experience, and the right timing was just everyone said yes and was available. And Amy had ideas. Amy and Dan had an idea for what they wanted to do, so it was just magical.
And Lauren, when you have achieved so many other things within your career, Evan Almighty, Mighty Ducks, Parenthood, other great shows, is it a double-edged sword having a character like Lorelai on your resume? Because, I mean, I'm sure she's in your DNA, but do you ever want to sometimes divorce her a little bit, or do you love that fans are still so invested in the character?
I think as an actor, you're so lucky to get one character like this. It has given me every other opportunity I've had, and it is the most wonderful group of fans to hear from, who are so devoted, and I really feel proud to be part of something that has brought people comfort and has, something they've watched with family members, their moms. So I think you can only look at it as a gift.
Yeah. 100%. And do you get bought a lot of coffee when you're out and about? Do your fans come up to you and say, this is on me?
No, I've never been bought a coffee. I'm outraged. This is
okay, you need the coffee and the Louis Vuitton discount. We need to get those two. Let's get that boxed off, yes.
Very quickly, so we mentioned, of course, A Year in the Life. And at the end of the series, for anyone who doesn't know, we were left on a massive cliffhanger when Rory revealed that she was pregnant. Now, you did put in your book that you thought you knew who it was. Are we gonna spill the beans a little bit? Who do you think was the father?
I didn't guess necessarily, because you have to be very careful. People feel very strongly who they want it to be. And actually, I just spoke to Amy last night for another book event, who said she didn't intend it as a cliffhanger so much as sort of to tie the show to Lorelai's past, like in the way that history repeats itself. And she didn't mean for it to become a guessing game. What I did guess is that the child would be a girl and that she would have a name that was some iteration of Lorelai. I think I guessed Lola.
That would be perfect.
That was my poetic license.
Yes, beautifully taken as well. Lovely to talk to you, Lauren. Such a joy. The new book is called Have I Told You This Already? It's out now and it is absolutely brilliant read. You are such a super writer as well as an actor. Thanks for joining us on 6 O'Clock Show.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Oh, good fun. All right.